there are many studies, and you can look them up. Just look up prevalence of TMD, and you'll come up with 15 or 20 different studies from all over the world on doctors who have, in their environment, decided, well, this is what the incidence is, what the prevalence is, this is how common it is, in many different ways. But many of those studies really don't differentiate well, prevalence. So here's how I figured out what the prevalence of TMD was. And remember what I said in the previous edition of the podcast, and that is what the definition of TMD is, which is nothing more than the list of symptoms. TMD is a list of symptoms. And there are others besides the primary, but the symptoms of TMD, to remind you, are frequent or recurring headache, earache, jaw pain, neck pain, ringing in the ears, fullness in the ears, vertigo, dizziness, shoulder pain, arm pain, hand, finger tingling, and numbness and locking. There are some secondary symptoms that I've seen many times, and I can discuss, and I will discuss later on. And they lead me down actually a rabbit hole as to how deep this really goes. And that's for further discussion. But anyway, that's the definition of TMD. The symptoms and the prevalence, according to Tony Urbanek, is this, 45%. And how did I determine that number? Back in 2014, 2015, I individually, personally went out and did 41 lunch and learns within a period of about 9 months. And I would take my set of my computer, and I would take my materials, and we'd go out and we'd talk to the local doctors here in Middle Tennessee about TMD and what I had found in the solution. And always during that set of presentations, after I went through the symptoms, whether I had 3 females in the room, almost all the assistants, hygienists, almost all in these practices were female, whether I had 3 besides the doctor or whether I had 20. I would always ask, once I went through the litany of symptoms and explained how the symptoms related to TMD, how many of you in the room have currently 1 or more of these symptoms? And invariably, at least half the hands went up. At least half the hands went up. So from that, I was a little conservative. Rather than say 50%, I coined it as 45%. But that's how I determined that 45% of females have temporandibular joint symptoms.